yes, yes. Another edition, another episode of Marriage Monday. So again, glad you're here. Glad that you're here.
Well, welcome to another edition of Marriage Monday. We're so happy that you're joining us on tonight. Got my girlfriend here with me tonight. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing well.
Did you have a good day today?
Very good day.
A very good day. We're so excited about today and being back on Marriage Monday. We were gone for a week. Was it a week or 2 weeks? Or how long were we gone? A week, 2 weeks, something like that? But we're back now, and we're so excited about this opportunity that we have to share with you. If you heard the music in the background, it's called "Where's the Love." That was an intentional song. Maybe all the things that's on the inside of the song is not directly appropriate for what we're going to talk about tonight. But what we want to deal with and what we want to talk about tonight is rekindling the love within the relationship, rekindling it, lighting the fire all over again, maybe putting some gasoline on the fire. Okay, don't do that. Charcoal on the fire, something to get the relationship going back like it should be, and it should be, you know.
Yes.
So you excited?
I am excited. Just want to say hello to everyone. Thank you for the hearts and for the likes and all that good stuff. Continue to like, share, and add the Oasis page because this is Marriage Monday. And so we've been coming to you for several weeks. And most of you, no matter where you are, you're coming out on the better end, the other end of this COVID-19 pandemic. And things are looking up. It's been looking up, but they're looking up. And so we've been praying and can't wait for here locally in San Antonio that we can come back together as a corporate body and fellowship together. But in the meantime, this is something that God has given us. Thank God for our producers, as we say, for the idea and for some things are a good idea, some things are a God idea. So we believe it to be a God idea because we readily embraced it. And so we've been getting some great feedback, results, some counseling, some telephone calls. We're doing some sex talk, some counseling, and giving people some really good wisdom, sound wisdom to get them back on track. So we're continuing tonight with just some flame of fire to just some little tidbits to help others and help everybody along the way.
Yeah, because that's going to be important because as we always talk about, we talked about communication. We also talked about making sure the relationship is not stale. And so what we want to do tonight, again, as we've been talking, is to rekindle the love that you have for each other, making sure that you don't get used to the person, you don't get common with the person, and all of a sudden now because you got used to the person, you got common with the person, then all of a sudden you take the person for granted. And God forbid that the person you take for granted is your soulmate, and that person is designed to be in your life and to share with you and to stay with you and all this kind of stuff. And all of a sudden now, because you got so busy at your job, or because you got so busy doing other stuff, that you decided not to keep. You okay, guy? Okay, got our producers to get you some waters on. But just want to make sure that the love is going and the love is still. Okay, so I'm gonna be here by myself for a minute. Make sure you get my best shot, right? I want to make sure that your relationship is the way it's supposed to be. So many times in relationships, people begin to take each other for granted, and that's how we leave the door open. And when we leave the door open, all of a sudden things start happening that shouldn't happen. Not necessarily that the person is gonna sneak out of the relationship and start doing anything of that nature, but because you left the door open, all of a sudden now maybe that person is getting attention from somebody that they shouldn't be getting attention from, or maybe your mind is wandering or lingering, or maybe the person on the job, because your husband works in the oil fields and the person on your job, he smells good and he has a tie on, and now all of a sudden now you think that person that's on your job is so much better than the one that you have. Not the case. And so we want to talk about, you feeling better now? Very good. Okay. So we want to talk about rekindling that relationship. Are we ready to get started? You want to?
All right. I'm getting myself together here, and then I have to be conscious not to keep rubbing my hands together because I don't like to look ashy. So, all right. So we good? I'm good. Oh, I like a little ashy. But yes. We are ready to get started. Continue to like and share. Hey, family. We got a couple of people saying hey. So hello to you from wherever you're viewing from. Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth. All right here in San Antonio, we got people logged in. So continue to like and share on Facebook and other social media that we have. So
That's good.
we're ready.
So let's start. You ever get tired of me?
Yes.
What? You got tired of me, the lover boy? How'd you get tired of me? Talk to me about that.
I don't know how I got tired of you, but and when you say tired of you, not in that aspect. I don't know.
Well, I mean, when we talk about, not that you don't love me or anything like that, but sometimes, even in our relationship, we've been together for a long time. We still have to keep everything going.
Yeah.
And we still have to keep things live, right? And so, as a result of that, we you get tired of me,
We
right?
like to keep it
Yeah.
real. Now, well, I'm going to speak for every marriage. Every marriage goes through some bumps in the road or some things that will come up and make you not appreciate each other, just like you're talking about here as we get it started. So, yes.
Wow. I'm crushed.
So go ahead and crush me.
No, I mean, no. But I think,
tired of me?
no, I won't say got tired of
Oh,
you.
no, I used to.
Not necessarily get tired of you.
I
Yeah,
give you
let me
some of
listen
the
to
water
your
that I had.
Not necessarily get tired of you, but sometimes we get to the point where, you just like, man, it's just help me or something, do something. I just need some help or whatever, And that's what we want to talk about tonight.
Let me clear
Because
my throat.
clear
God
it
bless
real
you,
good
Lord.
because
I don't mind.
yeah, God, it just happens sometime, and so when it happens, you got to be aware of how to get it back on track.
But you have to also, I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, know that you are off track. Sometimes
True.
people don't know they're off track and you're about to derail and you just need some help. But
True. And derailing is not good. It takes a long time to rebuild and to rekindle what has happened here. So we got about 3 points we're going to share with everybody today. And the 3 points we're going to share with you today are just some practical things that you can do to keep the relationship going. And then I think you said on our next broadcast, we're going to actually give an example of how to do that.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be in the bedroom. So you let's make that plan. That's not going to happen. We're not going to be laying in the bed talking and with the cover over our head and stuff like that. No, that's not going to happen.
With
But
the what?
how people talk, got the cover all the way up like this and stuff like that.
It's pillow talk.
Yeah,
So,
pillow talk. We're not gonna do like that. Yeah, for them. But we're not gonna do it. We're not gonna that aspect of it you're not gonna get to see. But what you will see is how to apply some of the things that we're gonna talk about tonight.
Yeah, so staying engaged, staying connected to each other would be something that I know I've just these couple of weeks, although we've mentored and counseled and several people, it's always important to know that some of the aspects of people go through many of the same things.
Mm-hmm.
You think the enemies, or you think trouble is at your house, or your marriage is being challenged solely, like nobody else is going through what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And although it's unique to you, you need to know and be rest assured that the enemy is, he said, the Bible talks about, he's going about seeking whom he may devour. So he's over at your house, and then he'll try and visit over our house, and then we kick him out of our house. You kick him out of your house, and then he's kicked over here. We kick him out of there. We just keep him bouncing around like a soccer ball or like a tennis ball. So he never has an opportunity to rest. That spirit cannot rest. Spirit of divorce, spirit of discontentment, spirit of disrespect, spirit, things that will cause you to not stay in love. Most people fall in love and not just fall in love with the aspect of falling in love, but actually being in love.
Well, that's a big one. Yeah. So listen, what we're talking about tonight, if you got questions, go ahead and send us your questions, your comments, and we'll be able to address those at this time. But in rekindling the fire within the relationship, one of the first things that we want to talk to you about and get you to start doing is to break away from your normal routine. You know, sometimes you get normal in the routine of how you go about doing things day in, day in, and day out, and it becomes a normal routine.
Yeah.
And when it becomes normal, then all of a sudden, you know, the flame starts going out because, again, the person thinks they're used to that person.
Yes.
That's dangerous. Come on, you need to look. Even before we go any further, if you feel that way about your mate, and you feel like you're at a point where it's just going through the normal routine, you know, whether it's, you know, you're gonna get up in the same time in the morning, you're gonna go to bed at the same time at night, you're gonna do the same thing here, you're gonna do the same thing when you go to bed, you know, and you decide to come together as a husband and wife, you're gonna do the same thing over and over and over again, and now all of a sudden you're wondering what's going on. Well, it's because you're not keeping the routine. Think about it. You know, when we first started dating, you do anything. Not necessarily you. Yes, you would, though, right? But we would do anything just to keep things, you know, moving in the direction that we wanted to go in. But then all of a sudden we get, you know, you get married, you get children, and all of a sudden now things just start to dwindle. Got to break the normal routine. You have to begin to, what's a good word? Reconnect, rekindle, relight, recommit to that other person. And first off, to God. Secondly, to the institution, what you believe that God has called you to do. Because again, you know, before you got together, man, it was like you couldn't keep your hands off each other and stuff like that. And now all of a sudden, you know, it's not happening like that. Mm-hmm. Something has to go back. And again, you got to break that normal routine. Instead of doing what you normally do. Who was it? We saw somebody one time and they were talking about how they were in the beginning of the relationship. It was like, come on in, girlfriend, let me open the door for you. And then she gets in the car and everything else. And now all of a sudden, now you've been together for a while. It's like, you better get in the car, because if you don't, I'm going to leave you, right? See, it can't be like that. You got to go back and you got to start all over again. And not necessarily start all over again, but start right where you are and start doing something different.
To make things better.
To make things different. Yeah, to make things better. One of the things that we do is, if you're not kissing me enough, I'm going to let you know that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a touchy-feely type person. I want to know. I want to kiss you all the time. I want my hand on your leg. I want to rub on you and things like that, because that's part of our relationship. And so whenever you know that I'm not doing that, of course, you know something's not right, you know, because even though it's our norm, it still keeps the fire going in our relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's our norm.
That's our norm, right? Right. But it's our norm, but it's not a norm. It's like putting another log on the fire, if you will. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I want you to think about that. One of the things that we missed it, but we had our couples at our church do, is they went out for a salsa class.
Oh yeah, that was awesome to hear all the aspects of salsa dancing and what it does and what it teaches and what most women think it is and what it is not. So I look forward to doing that. I think that's some of the things that we're talking about doing is doing one of those. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and for me, a person with 2 left feet, you know, that's something that, because it's out of the norm, it's out of something that we don't normally do. I was watching something or reading something, and this couple was talking about, okay, our days that we come together as a husband and wife is on Tuesdays and it's on Saturdays, okay? And so every Tuesday, get ready, because, hey, I'm going to be ready on Tuesday. And then on Saturday, hey, get ready, because I'm going to be ready on Saturday. And then all of a sudden now you got the Tuesdays and the Saturdays, so it becomes a norm instead of, here we go again, and it's Tuesday. So sometimes people dread going home because, you know, you're going to be into the routine and so forth, as opposed to, come on, what's wrong with Monday and Wednesday and Thursday? Yeah, the spontaneity.
Being spontaneous is very important.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So it's critical, and I want you to start thinking about that when it comes to your relationship. Don't allow it to grow old. Don't allow it to just be the same. There has to be an element of surprise that always goes with it.
But you know what? We honestly think it, and not that we're not being honest, but when we look at it from the scope of what we've experienced and the people that we've counseled, we go to work every day, just like you said. We go to work every day, we got that same routine. Come home every day, we do the same thing. But there has to be a point, and usually people wait till they get to the breaking point where it's not satisfying anymore. It's not, it's dull. and then they start seeking other, and maybe not intentionally, seeking other things to do, and then the enemy has his way of turning something good into
Wow.
something negative. It could be going out, not necessarily going out, I'm talking about partying, clubbing. I'm saying connecting with some friends from work that are married, and
Mhm.
some of them don't have the same like spirit, or connecting with old classmates, or church members, or some that don't have the same goals in mind. Those things can go the wrong way if you're not careful how the people that you are connecting with. And then you have to, I'm real big on my emotional state. I make sure I have my checkpoints. I think everyone should have a checkpoint of where if you're feeling lonely, you could be right beside me. And I don't know if you feel like that, but I felt just lonely even with you being beside me, because my mindset was, hormonal, or a daily routine, or whatever it was. But I had my own checks and balances. I'm not gonna do anything that's gonna compromise my love for you, my integrity, things like that. So everybody, long story short, I think everybody should have some checkpoints.
Very good. So what would you tell a person that said, well, yeah, but Pastor K, you understand, I got children, I got small children now, and I got to cook when I get home, and all this other kind of stuff. How would you talk to them about making sure, from a female's perspective, with everything else that's going on, keeping the fire kindled so that they don't feel like the world is crashing down on them?
Well, what I think that outside of setting boundaries, I do think, like you said, I got to cook, I got to do all these things. If I could just, I'm not just gonna zero in on the cooking aspect. Do some leftovers. Some days, like I always tell, I know everybody that is watching us is not saved, not a Christian. But what I found out, and you can if you'd like to give your life to the Lord Jesus Christ, you can do that. We'd love to welcome you into the kingdom of God. But one of the things I find out is that a busy schedule, like what we had even before we became pastors, or just being Christians and being a vital part, or being involved in ministry, then having small children like what we have, we always we were in agreement about the things that we would do together. But one of the things we do, like and I encourage parents to do, maybe if you have church on a Wednesday night, maybe you've cooked enough on Tuesday, then on Wednesday you have leftovers, or maybe Monday you cook, Tuesday you cook, but the Monday's meal is leftovers for Wednesday, and let the family know y'all come to agreement. We're not going to eat a full meal on Wednesday, because we're going to have enough to go to church, eat, do our homework, do everything, go to church, go to services, and then come back. But I think it's a good balance. What I would say to encourage a young woman or a young man that is single, you can piggyback on that may be head of household with children, with small children, but from the woman's aspect, and maybe some general duties, whatever you have to do for your household, just make sure that you're doing a balance and making the children a priority,
But not priority over the husband.
what they single.
Well, no, I'm saying about a person who's married.
I'm
If you're
sorry.
married, yeah. But if you're married and you can't.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I wasn't saying that was specifically. Yes, I'm sorry, maybe I misunderstood the question. But for the single, or a person that's married that's trying to get some things done, check with the husband. Maybe he's not saved. Check with him if it's okay if y'all have leftovers. Even if he's not going, make sure his meal is prepared. Make sure he has something to eat, so he won't have reason to complain that you're spending or too much time at the church. But you've made sure you've plated his meal and things like that. But on the flip side, for the singles, making sure that everybody, making sure you can get to service, making sure you can balance work, make sure you can get rest, make sure you're spending family time.
But even all that, no, it's good for that person to balance all that. But as a man, you're balancing all of that, but you're leaving me out. And so, me as a man, I used to get, years ago when our children were small, I used to get jealous when you would spend more time with the children than you spent with me. And I was like, come on, what's up, you know? And then all of a sudden, you spend all the time with children, then you come to bed and I'm tired, you know, you want to go to sleep. Understand that philosophy and understand, you know, what's happening there, because it is a full-time job. But when you think about, from that perspective, I would say to the man at this point that you have to somehow or another begin to kick in and to help, so that she don't necessarily be so tired when she come to bed or whatever, or you know, just as much as we're relying on you to plan something, it has to be on the man to plan something too, so that it won't be just a standard routine, you know, just a routine thing to do. I can remember years ago I bought you some flowers, and let me go back. I remember I bought you an outfit, and this outfit that I bought you, I thought it was very, very nice and so forth. And my sister and I went and we picked it up. Yeah, and so we wait a minute now. No, I'm telling this. It's my story.
Every episode, every session, everyone needs.
Wait a minute, now you don't think of my
something
story.
like that, but I'm gonna tell you.
Wait a minute now.
I'm gonna tell y'all the real.
What? No. But I was gonna try to surprise you, and I was doing something out of the routine, and I bought you this outfit, and thinking that it was gonna be something that you like, and you open it up, and you remember what you did?
Yes, I remember what I did.
Would you go to the room and start crying or something?
Because let me give y'all the let me give y'all the correct information. Bishop and his sister and my sister-in-law. Let me not say it like that. I ain't throwing on the butt. First of all, when we were dating, she didn't like me. So she didn't like me. But we're super tight now. That's my boo. That's my diva. But she didn't like me. So about a year, maybe 2 or 2 married, they pick out this suit. Now I used to watch Dog Shadows, Dracula, and all the movies, and it was an outfit that looks like that. It was all, and I ain't never been up. I never like nothing all the way up to my neck like that. I do like turtlenecks in the wintertime, but it was anyway. I opened that thing and I just cried because I thought they were trying to get rid of me. You know, I thought they were trying to get rid of me and get Bishop another wife. He wasn't Bishop at the time. He wasn't even minister. He did in the making. In the making. Yes, and it said that how mortician, you know, they have to cut your jugular vein there, and it was horrible. So we have some stories to tell you. He just brought that up.
Well, but I brought that up because I was trying to do something. Because I was trying to do something out of the norm, and because I was trying to do something out of the norm. My issue was this, and a lot of times maybe a man can fall into maybe a man can fall into that same trap. I went to another person, which was my sister, to try to find out.
What would have been bad if she liked me from the get-go?
I can't help that, man. I couldn't. Come on, y'all. I need some points on that one now. Y'all got to help me out. Don't let her just throw me on the bus like that, right? But I was trying to do something out of the norm, and like most people, we go to other people and ask, you know, what the other person likes instead of going. I appreciate that, you know, because instead of going to the person and find out what that person likes and then going from there, you know. So it's critical if you're going to rekindle. Number one, you got to break the routine, do something out of the norm, but you got to know what the other person wants. And you have to know that, again, that goes back to our communication phase thing that we talked about a few weeks ago, where you communicate with that person so that you'll know exactly what that person needs.
And then listening. And
I paid good money for that.
Listening. And y'all know what I did with it, right?
What'd you do with it?
I threw it away, didn't I?
You did throw it away. I paid good money for that thing. And she goes out and she throws it away.
I think I kept, I don't know.
You didn't wear it to church. I thought, look, it was a nice outfit. I think it was like a smoke gray type of a thing. I mean, she could have put one of them big old flowers on there like that. I mean, she could have just went to church with a big old hat on and everything. She would have been so nice. But she took my thing and she threw it in the trash can. But it's critical to rekindle the love that we want you to have for the other person. You really got to know what that other person wants and what that other person's needs are. Because, as we said previously on previous broadcasts, the love does not start, or the romance does not start when you get to the bedroom. It starts earlier that morning, when you get up in the morning and you start the routine and you start those type of things to keep everything going throughout the day.
And I think well, not just think, I know it's very important to know, each person to know and feel that they are valued.
Very true.
When you feel devalued or
Wow.
unappreciated, that has an effect on the person's mind and their response to compliments or kisses
Very
or
true.
slaps on the butt or kisses on the head or kisses anywhere. You know, that has an effect.
Well, because if you get out that norm, you get out the routine, you're gonna lose something. Can we go to point number 2?
Sure.
Okay, so point number 1 was point number 1 was you got to break away from your normal routine. Again, do something out of the norm. Don't just let little Leroy be little Leroy. You know what I'm saying? Do something out of the norm. Don't let little Missy be just little Missy. You got to value little Missy, and you got to go out and you got to do something to make her feel special. Number 2 thing is you got to ditch DITCH. You got to ditch all the negative talk and the negative communication. Because if you don't ditch the negative talk and the negative communication, we start that downward spiral. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're trying to break the routine, and you know, you told me something the other day. What did you tell me? You were going, what were you doing? You were traveling, and all day long, and I didn't call you, or I didn't text you, or something like that. And you said, "Hey, you didn't text me today," and you know that could have went sideways because I could have like, "Well, you didn't text me either," or something like that.
I was at the office.
You was at the office, okay. And so it's like all of a sudden now that could have been turned into something negative, and so instead of rekindling, it could have been a back and forth type of a thing. And what we've seen over the years is that couples, they get into that negative vibe and that negative communication, and then thinking that you're just gonna fix everything in the bedroom. That don't necessarily work like that. Just because you go to bed and you do whatever you're gonna do, you still gonna get up and still have to deal with yourself when you get up. And so you gotta get rid of that negative communication and that negative talk that may be going on between the couple, because if you don't, it's, you know, it's like throwing rocks and everybody getting hit and everybody getting hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when we talk about negative talk, some of that negative talk is not necessarily all the time to the person. It is another outside source that you're telling or talking negatively about.
Wow, that's good.
Your husband or your wife, and then when things are y'all cool, we cool. The family, especially the family, don't talk about all of your business to your family. Some things you're gonna have to not necessarily bite it and grind it if there's something that's serious as domestic violence or something going, but sometimes, some of the things that you come up against in your marriage, you're going to have to keep that. And we didn't just run our parents about everything.
Oh, no.
I don't think that's good. I think you stand a better chance. There's some things you do need to maybe share if it's some violence or something that's going on. But on the other scope aspect of it, then you want to make sure that you're engaging and making sure that you're doing all that you can to
keep it a positive environment, because you have to you have to control your emotions. You have to take your emotions and get them intact, because that negative vibes, as I said, lead to a downward spiral. Something you said that I thought was just so vitally important is when you start talking to other people and you start sharing with other people about what's going on within the relationship, and the relationship got back on track, but they still remember it. So now you got people still putting negative
Especially
stuff.
family.
Yeah.
Family will never forget, or rarely forget. Let me just say not never, but the family rarely forgets. I won't even say that. The family rarely forgets.
Yeah, and then they're bringing up stuff that was.
Oh yeah.
Long,
Well, I
long time
forgave him
ago.
for
Yeah,
that.
I forgave her for
I
that.
ain't forgave him.
Right.
Or forgave her. So yeah.
So you got to be careful. Number one, you got to break the normal routine. Number two, you got to ditch the negative communication. Because if you don't, we start bringing up past events, things happened in the past. Just the other day you were talking about me and da da da, and now you're bringing it back up, and then all this negative stuff comes along. And I heard people say, well, that just makes it so much better when you get together in the bedroom. Not necessarily so. It can be good before you get there. And if you keep the right environment within the relationship, then you want to get to the bedroom a lot quicker. Let me just say it that way. But that negative stuff, the negative communication, the negative looks, I can't. You know how the people do that with their head? I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? They just snap their finger and be do their head like that. I can't do that. But all those type of things, you know, just you can't do it.
Didn't that snap again?
I was trying to do like, you know, they do like that. I don't know if my head too big or what. You know what I'm saying?
No.
What is it? Okay, show me how to do it.
I can't even do it.
Okay, give me one of them looks like you used to give me a look.
I don't do it. I don't know.
Give me one of them look like, you know, when I'm getting on your nerves, like type of thing. Like you did me one time, you said, ooh, and she did her eyes like that, and it's like, is she gonna blow up, man? What's going on?
I don't know the face.
Well, yeah, because I was looking at it. You weren't looking at it. I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. So you got to ditch the negative communication. You got to get rid of that stuff. You got to make sure that you as a person are creating the environment that you want it to be within the relationship. That has so much to do with rekindling love.
Yeah, marriage takes work, and it could be a very pleasant thing when worked in corporately in conjunction with what the word says, and then learning each other. Those things are very vital.
Very true. Very, very true. So number one, you have to get out of the norm. Number two, you got to get rid of that negative communication. Please, by all means, get rid of the negative communication. Some people we've seen, they say things like, well, I didn't mean it like that. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that. If your heart is not right and you're feeding into that negative stuff, that's not going to be a good thing.
Then the Bible talks about out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Mm-hmm.
So, some things that you have in your mind and you say, I never say that, but by the time you've done all that, it's gotten down in your heart. And when that heart is attacked, you're going to come out in a defensive mode usually, and then that's where it all blows up, because now you've said something that has crossed the lines of communication, positive communication, and then now them like fighting words. And so you said you'd never go there, but here you are.
You know, we met people who've been mad with each other for months at a time, and we talk to them, and it's like
They've been what?
They've been mad at each other, holding on to a grudge for months at a time, and it's not because nobody snuck out on nobody, anything like that. Maybe they ate your piece of chicken in the refrigerator or something like that, and you ain't like it or whatever, and they still holding on to that kind of stuff. Or maybe they said something that they shouldn't have said, and they're still holding on to it.
But baby, let's look at this. Maybe it's just somebody like you're saying that you're holding on to a grudge. Maybe it's you that you're holding on to a grudge. It's not those people that we've counseled, but maybe it's you. You want to learn to let those things go. Let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go, and then watch yourself, watch your heart, your goals, everything be strengthened, and all that, just put it behind you. Forgiveness, the Bible talks about 70 times 7 in a day.
Sure.
So
One day. Yeah.
it should be so fluid. Forgiveness should be so fluid that it just allows you to just ward off a duck's back, and then you're able to move on.
You know, the scripture says also, it says, how can two walk together except there be an agreement there? There's got to be an agreement between the two parties, because what I've seen people do this. They say that they're in agreement, but it's like one is pulling that way and one is pulling the other way. And but I'm okay, you're okay, I'm okay, you okay, I'm okay. Well, why you keep asking me? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you know, the person goes, well, I was just asking because I want to see if you're okay. Well, I told you I was okay. And then now we got that negative stuff going on again, and it doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't cause anyone to be able to move forward. So you gotta break the negative vibes. And I mean, you gotta go after that right now, even today. And one of the, you said about forgiveness. Forgiveness is good, and forgiveness is always in order. But there's an order to forgiveness, because a lot of times people will go to God and say, okay, God, forgive me, but they won't go to that person. And so you got to go to that person and you got to ask that person, hey, will you forgive me? And I'm sorry. And you, whatever you want to say, please don't say, well, if I done anything wrong. Yeah, don't do it like that. Don't do it like that. But just go to that person and ask for forgiveness. And what you'll find out is that you and that person can begin to move on within the relationship and cause something beautiful to happen within the relationship, because you're back on the right track now. But if you're going to just continue to throw rocks at each other, and one of the things that just baffles me more than anything, you say you love the other person, you know what I'm saying? And you, I believe some people just hold on to people because they don't want nobody else to have them. That's a crazy thing, and that may not necessarily be the motive, but that's what the actions show, okay? Because if you're not there to fix it, if you're not there to love on each other, well, then why are you there? And we're not talking, please, it's not about going to get a divorce. I know I'm supposed to say that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I got word from the Lord today. The Lord told me to leave. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is somebody's got to be willing to put the rocks down and begin to get into the relationship and say, hey, let's talk. Because we have to begin to move this relationship forward. Because otherwise, what is the one thing I hate? I tell you, I hate more than anything. Is to do what? To waste time. I hate wasting time, because time is a non-renewable resource. Once it's gone, it's gone. You don't get it back. And so here it is, you're married to somebody and you're not happily married. I know people talk about that happily married stuff, and I'm not talking about with the white picket fence, all that kind of stuff. No, I'm talking about being in a relationship and enjoying it. You know, I enjoy being married to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, you know I enjoy it. Okay. She got jokes today, right? Yeah.
No,
you should know it. You should know it, because I tell you, right?
You tell me.
Yeah, I tell you all the time how beautiful you are and all this kind of thing. Because look, I may be old, but I still got game. You know what I'm saying? And so as a result of that, you have to continue to move forward within the relationship. Let me just say it that way. So point number one was what? You got to break away from your normal routine. Point number two was you got to ditch all the negative talk. And then number three, come on, tell them what number three is.
Seduce a spouse like it was the first time. Yes. And I think that's where, I think that's where it gets to the point where, you lose, sometimes if a person loses interest or loses respect, those things are just precursors, or not precursors, they're just after effects or symptoms of something that's greater.
Mm-hmm. You asked me a question years ago, and to some people, it would have been an insult. But this was about, 10 years ago? You asked me, you remember that question you asked me about, did I have that spirit of, and it was on me?
Oh, yeah.
You remember the question? She asked me, she says, are you dealing with lust right now? And I didn't cover it up. I said yes. And the reason I bring that up is because, look, you don't want your eyes to start looking outside of your relationship. And it's not that I was going after anybody or anything like anything of that nature. Actually, at the time, I think I told you that somebody on the job was trying to come on to me or something like that. Yeah, and you know, somebody's trying to come at me and stuff like that, because you live in the world. Look, I tell people all the time, I know you're beautiful, so I'm gonna tell you you're beautiful, so that when somebody else tell you, it ain't gonna be something new to you. You know, because the reason you like the person is because you married the person because they were attractive. So somebody else probably gonna think the same thing. So you can't be all like.
Maybe they don't think they can.
Well,
maybe they money attractive.
Hey, well, whatever they were.
You got that third eye right there.
You got three eyes.
They're many there, so they makes them look really attractive.
Yeah, but that one eye to keep the eye on the money, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but you have to. When you ask me that, I start thinking about that over a period of time, and I said something one time in church after we went through that brief period, because I went straight to the altar, got it right before God, got it right with you and so forth.
You got it right
even
with me first.
Well, with you first, right? And even though I wasn't going to do anything or nothing like that, right? Yeah. But what I want people to understand is this: is that imagine if you lust after your mate. I know some people say, I love them, but before you got married and before you really knew what love was, you know, that girl got You know, like I used to tell you, that girl got some back on her, man. She's, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then now all of a sudden we're married and I can't talk that way anymore. No, the Bible says that marriage is honorable and all in the bed is undefiled. So that means you have the right to just go ahead and just, girl, I can't, you know, take my eyes off you. You're so beautiful to me. All this kind of stuff. I mean, I was hollering at you this morning when you're we won't even go into that. But you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, what if you just went back and started saying, you know what, man, I'm just so crazy about that other person.
That's good. That's really good. That's really good. Seducing the spouse. So it doesn't mean that the husband's doing all the seducing or the wife is doing it, all the seducing. I think it should just make it a competition to start seducing and to start doing some things and making it attractive. So I know next week we're gonna do some give some examples, and as we did as a disclaimer, it won't be anything rated X. It'll be something
How
that's
about 1X? You gonna be 1X? Okay, we won't do 1X either. I don't think you better do the R either.
You know, it's not gonna be anything like that. It's gonna be something that, so it's not gonna be nothing boring. It's just something that could enlighten or enhance what you're already doing, or maybe you're not doing anything. It's gonna be something that's gonna bring you in. So, you know, make sure that you're on here next Monday, Marriage Monday, and then make sure, I wanna ask you to invite at least 2 other people to stream with us. And I know that you're gonna like and share a whole lot of people, but you know, it's like for every 10 people you invite, one's going to accept or actually follow through. So let's have that, what's it called? Sales pitch or sales type thing. Invite 30 people. Invite 20, so you know at least 2 are going to be. If you invite 30, at least 3 are going to show. And so with the information that we're going to share in the props or the things that we're going to do.
Very good. So, 3 things. We're going to take them with us. Could you give them the 3 things again?
All right. As he said, break away from your normal routine, ditch the negative talk and communication, and seduce your spouse like it was the first time.
Well, listen. That's what we got for them tonight.
That's what we have on tonight.
That's right.
And we want to keep it short, keep it interesting, so you won't have to be asking where is the love. And maybe you may ask that, but you're going to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that your husband, your wife, is the one that God has blessed you with.
Very good.
No turning back now. No turning back.
Too late. All right. So we'll see y'all next time.